Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé to stop calling me by her late husband's name? Original post. I am 34 years old and my fiancé is 31. Mon and I have been together for 4 years and engaged for 1 year. She is also 4 months pregnant with our first child. She is a sweetheart. We get along very well, and I can see myself with her for a long time. Mon was married for 6 years before she met me, to a guy named Kyle. Kyle died in a car accident a few years ago. Although the relationship between Mon and me is great, she often calls me by her late husband's name. Things like, "How was your day, Kyle?" Or, "Can you grab that for me, Kyle?" I'm almost certain it's accidental, and she always apologizes and corrects herself, but it still makes me uncomfortable. She even slipped and called me by his name during sex. Finally, I sat down with her and, upset, told her that this was making me uncomfortable and asked her to stop calling me that. She started crying, apologized, and told me that she still loves Kyle and always will. I don't know why, but that really made me unhappy. At the end of that evening, her sister messaged me, saying that I was rude to her sister and that I'm an a-hole. Now for the top comments before the update. He died a few years ago, and you've been dating for 4 years. When did he die? He passed away 7 years ago. They were high school sweethearts and married early at the age of 18. He died when they were both 24 years old. Grief is weird and hard. She may grieve Kyle for a long time. She has the right to. You also have a right to not be okay with being called someone else's name. Has she seen a grief counselor? Have you considered couples therapy? The two of you need to sit down and talk about how you feel. She likely loves you very much, and her brain keeps defaulting to Kyle. It is, however, also likely that she has not properly dealt with her grief. She will need compassion and time. She also needs to understand that you are her partner and Kyle is not. Your feelings should matter to her, and it is not unreasonable to ask her to make a concentrated effort to get your name right. Regardless, therapy. You should both probably go. Has she seen a grief counselor? Yes, she did in the first 3 years after his death. Have you considered couples therapy? Yes, but at the moment I haven't found any. Not the a-hole. I agree with the posters saying not to get married yet and to seek individual and couples therapy. Also, talk to her about sharing your personal business with her sister. She called you an a-hole without knowing or hearing your side. I realize she may need to vent, but the problem is that, long after this is resolved, the sister will still see you as being rude, and it may tarnish your relationship with your fiancé's family. Show her the message from her sister and let her deal with it. Yeah, it's extremely obvious that even if she didn't mean it, it's hurtful to him. Him being upset about it doesn't make him an a-hole, and even if she's hurt that she upset him, you can't just go around telling friends and family he's an a-hole for being rude. He wasn't rude, he was hurt by something she did. It sucks for her if it's unintentional, but giving the impression to other people that he did something wrong is honestly pretty outrageous. Saying you're upset to friends is fine, but being honest and saying it's ultimately your fault and your partner did nothing wrong is key. Poisoning relationships by painting OP as being rude or unreasonable is messed up. You're right, he should show the text from her sister, say that's unacceptable as he did nothing wrong, and expect an apology from her. Now for the first update 4 months later. Since that day, Mon and I have been in couples therapy, and she has returned to the first therapist who treated her during the first 3 years of her grief. Obviously, it hasn't been easy. Our daughter was born a month ago, and Mon is still going through a lot, which makes taking care of a baby in the middle of all this even more complicated. Luckily, our parents are helping us with the baby. We've decided to postpone the wedding indefinitely. A lot has come up in therapy, such as finding out that Mon cries for Kyle when I'm not around. This can happen monthly, 3 times a month, or not at all. She also admitted that she doesn't feel comfortable talking deeply with me about it because she thinks I would get upset, which is nonsense considering I've heard stories about him before and never showed any sign of being upset. Some of her statements in therapy, like, "I will never love anyone like I loved him," hurt me a lot. I feel more and more that this relationship is doomed to failure. However, this doesn't mean I'm giving up. I really love her, but I'm not extremely optimistic. I'm trying to work as much as possible on the relationship, mainly for the sake of our daughter. I'm sorry, OP. My heart breaks for both of you. Make sure you take care of yourself through all this and be prepared for the worst, even as you work toward the best. Seek individual counseling and therapy for yourself and figure out if you can really handle being in second place your whole life. I'm sorry to hear that. Sounds like your fiancé may have been ready to move on, but getting pregnant and starting a family could have really triggered a regression. If you have been together for 4 years and he passed 3 years before that, so 7 years ago, it sounds like they got married really young, and that's a tough relationship to lose. This was the life she was supposed to have with Kyle. Unfortunately, 2 things can be true. She can love you, but know deep down she will never love you like she loved Kyle. No 2 loves are the same. Hopefully with therapy, you guys can find your happy place. Second update 1 year after the first post. So, a lot has changed. Not everything has been easy, but I think, in a way, we're finding a new balance. Therapy has helped us a lot, both individually for her and as a couple. Mon is better at separating the past from the present, and she no longer calls me Kyle by mistake. We've been able to talk more openly, and she feels more comfortable discussing the past and her feelings in depth. Our daughter is growing up so fast, and I can't even imagine going through all of this without our family support. As for the marriage, it's still on pause. It's something we want at the right time. I can really see that she's putting in a lot of effort. She's been talking a lot with her sister, and we go out with her and her boyfriend quite often. My sister-in-law has always been somewhat protective of her and is genuinely concerned about her improvement. Aside from the usual small arguments, I'm managing to stay optimistic about the future. Some of the comments on my first post helped me a lot in the early stages, and I'm really grateful. The sister was in the wrong to text him in the first update. There's a lot to unpack about dating a widow or widower, and it boils down to effort and understanding from both parties. But the sister was clearly in the wrong to cross from passive listener to actively snarking at OP. OP isn't rude for asking his fiancé not to call him by another man's name during intimacy, especially after 4 years together and a kid now on the way. This should have been handled much sooner. I agree the sister was wrong, but I'm guessing she was under the mistaken impression that OP was telling her to stop bringing up Kyle, when OP really just wanted her to stop calling him Kyle, since that seems to be how OP's wife took it at the time. Given how she was still struggling so much with her grief, possibly made even more difficult by her pregnancy, it seemed like the wife had a very hyper-defensive reaction. There was no time limit on grieving. However, I do wish that Mon didn't get with OP if she honestly believes that she will not love anyone as much as she did her late husband. I don't think that's fair to anyone trying to be her new number 1, unless they fully understand and accept that they will always be second place to someone who isn't around anymore. I hope therapy contributes to helping, mostly for the child's sake, but I'm not too sure about the stability of the relationship itself. Honestly, I'm wondering if she was mostly doing okay until she got pregnant. She probably always saw herself as raising her babies with Kyle, and now here's this baby coming with another man. And her hormones are out of whack. Completely different scenario, but my dad died in 2009, and I got pregnant and had my son in 2023. 14 years later, so much therapy later, so many years of mostly being okay, and yet I was still just constantly sobbing about how my siblings' children all got to have time with their Papa T, but my son never would. The grief was physically painful. I teared up just writing this paragraph. I can't even imagine how awful it must have been for Mon to grapple with becoming a mother without the guy who was supposed to be the father of her children, even if she loves OP and is thrilled to be raising his child. Next story. My husband left the groceries on the floor for me to put up when I get home. Am I the a-hole if I refuse to touch them? Original post. My husband and I went grocery shopping, and afterward, he dropped me off at the nail salon while he went home with the groceries. I thought that since he went home, he would have put the groceries away. When he picked me up from the nail salon and we went home, I saw that the groceries were still in bags on the kitchen floor. I asked him why he didn't put the groceries away, and he argued that he put the cold stuff away but left the rest, the majority, of the groceries in bags. So I asked him why he didn't just put all the groceries away, and he got defensive and said it's always something, and that I act like he doesn't clean or do things around the house. So I asked him if he expected me to put the groceries away when I got home. Long story short, I'm not touching those groceries. After dinner, he went into the kitchen, washed the dishes, and drew himself a bath, but he still left the groceries on the floor. Am I the a-hole if I refuse to put the groceries away? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. This clearly is about much more than the groceries. True. It seems like OP is often left with the majority of household chores, even when her husband has the opportunity to contribute. Lol. If you and your husband are at the point where you are both playing a game of chicken to see who will do a chore, then you clearly have larger problems. You need to find a way to start working things out. You could also find a counselor to help you. Game of chicken. Lol. I want to hear his side. Is it because every time he puts them away, she tells him he did it wrong? I once heard my sister complain to her husband that he put the groceries away wrong because he didn't turn the cans facing out and place the cereal in order of height. She's always been a bit OCD. Luckily, after 3 girls, it loosened up some. My sister once asked her husband to put the dishes away, and he put them all in the wrong places. When she got home from work and tried to cook dinner, she couldn't find anything. In frustration, she snapped, "I'm never going to ask you to do that again." He laughed and said that was his plan all along. I can't believe your brother-in-law admitted to weaponized incompetence. Now for the updates. He got out of his bath, and I took mine. When I got out of the bath, the groceries were still on the floor, and he's in the living room watching anime. Edit 2. I asked him why he didn't put the groceries away as he got into bed, and he said, "Why can't you?" Then he told me to buzz off and said he's sleeping in the living room, so I'm calling an Uber and going to stay at a hotel tonight because I'm so mad right now. I feel so disrespected. I'm at the hotel now. I hope I can get some sleep tonight. He texted me asking where I am. I'm not answering any of his texts or speaking to him until I get back home tomorrow morning. Edit 3. I just learned that this is called weaponized incompetence from some people in this thread. I showed this Reddit post to my therapist this morning. I'm home now. She told me to voice how my feelings were hurt when he cursed at me and told me to F off and F you. I'm glad I didn't take the disrespect lying down. That was highly disrespectful. Next story. Am I the a-hole getting my ex in trouble during therapy with me and his current wife? My ex-husband, 40 male, and I, 36 female, share 3 kids. 12 female, 11 female, and 9 male. Since our divorce, my ex has remarried. His wife, Janie, 38 female, has 2 of her own kids, 13 male, 7 male, whom she has full custody of. So they've made a very blended family. I have a partner, 43 male myself now, but we don't live together or anything, so he's not directly involved here. The problem is, my kids dislike Janie, my girls more so, and they feel like she tries to play their mom and push me out. They have mentioned specific incidents, which led me to address the concerns with my ex, and after a while, this strained things between me and them, ex and Janie. They told me they didn't believe me and said I must be the reason the kids were causing trouble at their house. They never specified what this trouble was. At one point after things got bad, my ex admitted to me that the kids had complained about the same things to him regarding Janie, and he wasn't telling her. This landed us back in court and into therapy together for co-parenting. In our therapy sessions, Janie complained about me and said she feels like I refuse to accept that she's also now a mom to my kids, and that I want to ruin it by making up complaints. She said anything the kids say isn't real, and it's just kids trying to stir crap with the adults. During the discussion about this, I brought up my ex and how the kids complained to him also, and he told me as much. This started a fight between my ex and Janie. It derailed the session because they walked out to deal with their marital issues. My ex is now mad at me for throwing him under the bus like that. I defended myself, but he said I could have approached the rebuttal differently. Janie accused me of trying to break up her marriage and being part of stirring crap between everyone. Am I the a-hole? In our therapy sessions, Janie complained about me and said she feels like I refuse to accept that she's also now a mom to my kids and wants to ruin it by making up complaints. I would tell her, "You're not a mom to my kids. You're my ex-husband's wife. You have not adopted them, nor will I let you do so. They have a mom. They don't need another. If you stop trying to be their mom, they might be able to have a friendly, respectful relationship with you, and I'll encourage them to at least be respectful. But if you keep trying to be their mom, they will resent you, and I will not tell them that they shouldn't." Not the a-hole for what you said. If you stated facts, you did not throw him under the bus. He leapt under the bus of his own volition. 100%. I have been a step-parent, and the first time I ever interacted with my now ex-partner's ex-wife, I sent her a card telling her that I would do my best to be respectful and caring toward her kids, and that I recognized but couldn't fathom how much trust she would have to put in a stranger to treat her kids right. My ex and I broke up 5 years ago, and we're all still on good terms. OP's ex caused his own mess by not being honest with his wife, and his wife caused her own mess by saying that anything the kids say isn't real and claiming that she's a mom to someone else's kids. Damn, a little respect goes a really long way. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your kids' feelings should be the priority here, and if they are consistently expressing discomfort about Janie, that deserves to be taken seriously. It's concerning that your ex dismissed their concerns until it became a bigger issue. Janie seems more focused on claiming a mom role rather than listening to how the kids actually feel. A step-parent should earn that place through respect and trust, not force it. The fact that your ex finally admitted the kids were telling him the same things but hid it from Janie says a lot. He likely knew she wouldn't take it well, which is exactly what happened in therapy. You didn't ruin anything, you just told the truth, and it's not your fault that it exposed cracks in their marriage. Keep advocating for your kids, and hopefully, therapy will help them realize they need to actually listen instead of dismissing their feelings. Last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my date at the bar after she insulted my kids? I am a 26 male. About a month ago, I met a girl, Hope, 25 female, at this gaming group I attend. We're just in the talking stage now, but I like her a lot. Something to know about me is that I am divorced. I have 2 daughters, 5 female and 3 female, and split custody with my ex. I have the kids every other weekend and on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I guess Hope didn't know I had kids, though she 100% knew I was divorced. She and I were going to pub trivia last Sunday, and I had just dropped the girls off at my ex's place. I said something about it while we were ordering drinks, and Hope acted offended. She said she didn't want kids. Fine, and never wanted to see or hear about mine. That's okay with me. Not everybody likes kids. But then she started getting very vulgar, calling them crotch goblins, sex fruit, and stuff like that. I nicely told her to stop or I'd leave, but she just kept going. I told her I was ready to go, canceled my drink, and went home. We haven't talked since, and it's been almost a week. Am I the a-hole for leaving Hope at the pub when she called my kids crotch goblins and sex fruits? Info. Did you actually have the conversation about you having kids and being divorced beforehand? Because any rational person wouldn't have behaved like this with prior knowledge, unless they were quite literally just a prick for the sake of being a prick. She knew I was divorced, as I'd mentioned it in the group a few times. I also talked about being a dad, but I guess she missed that part. Not the a-hole. It's one thing not wanting kids, and especially taking care of kids that is not biological yours. But pretty much everything but an okay, I don't think you and me will work out, from her, makes her the a-hole and you the not the a-hole. Like, what was she hoping for? Opie to dump off his kids and start over? Not the a-hole. She didn't want the competition. Only she is allowed to have a childlike meltdown. She won't share. Not the a-hole. Ditch her entirely. Also, all of us were children at one point. This dipshit you dated is also a crotch goblin, and apparently a pretty stupid one. You dodged a bullet, my friend. Just imagine what would have happened if you were married. She would have treated them like lepers behind your back. Get rid of her. She's rubbish.